thank you, everyone, for being here at our panel at the Wizard World Columbus 2018 show. It's awesome to be here. I've had a great time this weekend.
It's been wild.
You guys been here all weekend, or you just come for today? God bless you guys. You're awesome.
We are tired in the front audience.
How's the convention been for you two?
Been pretty good.
Been pretty great.
Any highlights?
I'm drunk.
That is a highlight. That was me yesterday.
Yeah, it was definitely yesterday. Ask for the suicide. That we
Thank you, Mike's Hard Lemonade.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Right?
The official hardish beverage of canned air.
There it is. I am Jeremy Colley.
I'm Jack Doherty.
And I'm Jake Runyon.
And as the sign over here, not the ones up here, are telling you, we are the Canned Air Podcast, a tribute to comics and pop culture. I don't think I have to explain myself to these people right here, though. You guys pretty much know what's going on, don't you? That is awesome. Well, as you can see, right next to the stage here, we have some gift bags. We are giving away prizes today. And like I said before, great chance of winning here. Great chance of winning.
We'll walk away with nothing, and I'm sorry.
That's not true. If you should happen to win something, maybe those comics there could go to one of the non-winners. Yeah, pay it forward. You don't need the duplicates, right? Come on.
It's like paying for someone behind you at the drive-thru.
Oh man, that happened to me, and I was like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, someone paid for me one time, but then when it came time to pay it forward, I didn't have the money to. And if I did offer to, it'd be the person who was buying for a whole family bag. You know, like $50 for the bag. No, thank
The
you.
way the guy said it, he was like, the person in front of you bought your breakfast as an act of kindness. And I was like,
He said as an act of kindness.
literally, as an act of kindness. And I'm like, that was cool of him.
I got my money.
You just drive out the drive-thru just like
Because
this.
it invalidates the kindness if you don't just accept it,
Yeah.
right? Then it becomes your kindness, you're stealing kindness.
Then you're made to be kind to the next person.
No one's going to tell me to be kind. I'll do it on my own accord, okay? But the bags over here, they all three have comics in them that have been featured on our show. They all include a Deadpool minifigure. The two smaller ones include just merch from all kinds of different shows, movies, like Westworld. What else is in there? Adventure Time,
Adventure Time.
Supernatural, stuff like that. A bunch of cool, trinkety stuff. The big bag, though, that's the Deadpool prize pack. That has the Marvel Select figure in it. He's about this big. He looks
It's
pretty
a
cool.
gorgeous figure.
I almost kept him.
Yeah, it came close. There was a little bit of a dilemma there.
A Deadpool t-shirt, it's extra large, so if that size doesn't accommodate, I'm sorry, I don't have a whole plethora of these things. Make it into a towel or a bandana or something. I don't
Cut
know.
the seams, it'll make it a little bigger.
There you go. Perfect. And attractive you will be. And then what else is in there? Deadpool minifigure as well, and comics. So,
Lots of them.
before we do all that though, Jake, where can these people find us?
Oh, it's so easy, guys. If you skip on down to Twitter, virtually, not physically, obviously, you can find us at CannedAirPod, and on Instagram we are at @canned_air. I assume all of you are already following us. But in case you needed a reminder, those are the places. And we're on Patreon, which, again, you guys are well aware
Yes, we have a few backers in the audience.
that we do. So let's
Thank you
a light
so
round
much.
of applause.
Thank you. Yes. Applause for these people.
For
Come on.
you, the heroes. But yeah, check us out there. And if you want some of our sweet, tasty merchandise, society6.com/CannedAirPod. Get your hand towels, t-shirts, decals, wall clocks, shower curtains, bath mats,
Toilet mat.
toilet mat.
Why the hell not?
Yeah.
Right? Why not?
You only live
Fashion
once.
your whole bathroom with us.
Make it
We're
work.
separating ourselves from the others. They're not selling shower curtains and bath mats and
Right.
shit. Come
They
on.
don't have the kind of vision that we have.
Might I just say that I'm kind of relieved there are no children in the room, so I
Oh,
don't have
yeah.
to keep from
No
swearing.
censorship.
Unless anyone here gets offended by swearing. Anyone?
Me.
Fantastic.
Get out.
Get out. You are not one of us. All right.
Your stuff.
Really quick, let's touch on the convention that we've seen thus far this weekend and highlights. What do we like, guys?
Well, if you don't mind me starting out, I was a
Not at all,
little
Jake.
worried we'd have one of the group I'm about to rip on in the audience, but I can see I'm in the clear. Deadpool cosplayers have way too much confidence.
I think it's the mask that gives them the
Yeah,
confidence,
that
though. You know,
anonymity, they're just like, I am God now.
I'm not the biggest Deadpool fan, but I've thought about putting the thing on and just cussing some people out or something. Just because I can. I can get away with it. You
Run,
know?
hide, change, and then you're good to go.
Well, I don't know. He went that way.
You put on the mask, suddenly you have the right to be in every photograph taken at the convention. You know?
I just hate the people that take it too far, that are just obnoxious. Just trying to photobomb every photograph they see being taken. It's annoying, but I understand the appeal.
Oh, sure.
At least.
That's
like
the
if I
character
could
too,
pull it
though.
off, you know.
It's been toned down with Deadpools this year. I think I didn't see as many as I've seen before.
I've seen a lot of Spider-Man.
Really?
Yeah, I saw there were 5 downstairs, all in the same area. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I saw
Spider
a
Club.
few, and I have seen a rise in Harley Quinn again. She's starting to come back a little bit.
That's going to be one of those timeless cosplays that I think is going to
It
stick
really
around
is.
for a while. I think I mentioned this. I'm a little disappointed I didn't see more Domino.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is
She
surprising.
was the big breakout new character, the really memorable one that just showed up. I kind of figured everybody would be going for that.
Has everyone seen Deadpool 2 here? Perfect. So we can talk about that. Yes, what a perfect character
I know.
she was
And the
indeed.
costume isn't complicated. You throw a little
No.
white paint over your eye, wear something skin tight-ish, and you're good to go.
I'm not even sure who the actress is. What's her name?
Zazie Beetz.
She was charming.
She's
Absolutely
incredible.
charming. I loved her to
I was
death.
sold, yeah.
For sure. And who could forget who we also saw cosplay for this weekend? Peter.
That was a big highlight of the show. Yeah, big highlight.
We were talking about that. We're going to see some Peters. That's going to be the next big thing.
Heck, I was going to dress up as Keaton.
Right? It'd be so simple.
I'd have been upset to not see any. I mean,
Yeah.
my day to see them.
Missed opportunity.
It seems like it'd be an easy cosplay, but man, that mustache, if you don't have it already, I mean, that's kind of hard to pull off, right? Come
It's
on.
not easy to grow the porn stash.
That takes dedication.
Yeah.
Sacrifice.
One thing we saw here this weekend that I think we all were crazy about was an Ironhide Transformer cosplay that was out of this world. Did
About
you guys see him
8 foot
today? Was he here today at all? Or?
That's a shame. Because you'd have noticed him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay, well,
Stands out a
that's
bit
not
in the
cute.
crowd. This was like movie quality. If
Oh,
they had
yeah.
gone with practical effects and Transformers, this would have been one of the costumes. It was amazing.
He was an easy 8 foot tall on stilts walking around. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
easy to not miss him.
Articulated, lighting up.
His
guns
eyes
on
lit
his
up.
Arms. Yeah.
And
His
even-
voice was modulated too, so he sounded like a robot.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Thank you for taking a picture. It's funny. We went to Universal Studios in Orlando to the Transformer ride, and they always have people in costume out there as Optimus or Megatron. This guy looked better, I think, than they did.
Yeah,
I mean,
seriously.
I couldn't see really any seam lines with this guy.
See, that was the thing. You see these, even in amusement parks, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
these costume-level Transformers get-ups. It's, clear, it's a suit with a little bit of extra geometry thrown in. This guy, built layered, plated armor over himself. There was,
Yeah.
a bare framework, but everything was... There was so much dimensionality to it. It was amazing. I don't
You can
know
see
how
the
you
rods
pull it
from
off.
his stilts, but it still worked with the rest of the costume and his legs.
You're just like, oh, those are pistons. From
Yeah, it sort of looked like them.
That's dedication. That's dedication. I mean, you're here just to take pictures and walk. You're not
That's
shopping in this thing. You're not squeezing into those little toy boots in
He
this
doesn't
thing.
have a little pouch where he can store pop vinyls or something.
No. Well, maybe there's a hidden compartment
guess,
we just
yeah,
can't
maybe
see. He is a Transformer after all.
Shows up.
He just has a little purse.
There it is.
Nice little
Sashay and
Louis
his
Vuitton.
pretty little self around the con.
Passes the trunk.
There it is. Needs to make that happen.
Yeah.
One thing that never ceases to amaze me that I just adore for some reason, I can't tell you why, but the fact that Kato Kalin is out here to greet everybody that walks in the door. And I don't know, there might be a few of you who are too young to remember who Kato Kalin is, but a few of you who do does everyone know who he is exactly? Was a star witness on the O.J. Simpson murder trial.
Long blonde hair that he's since cut off.
And
Now this is what he does.
and
Okay,
Interesting little career pivot there.
Right. And I don't bring this up to dogline, but I mean, last year when we were standing down there, he MCs the stage down front, and when we were down there and he came out, I was like, holy crap. This is Kato Kalin. This is awesome. I got to get a picture with him.
What do we do?
And I'm just envious of the guy because he summons an amount of energy that I can't muster up, and he's older than I am. Hi.
While they're taking pictures, I'm gonna switch your.
Okay, I didn't know if we had done something wrong.
Yeah.
No, you're
They're ejecting us.
there. I just want to make sure that your guys' names are.
Bless your heart. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Thank you. But
If I had to do what he does for 10 minutes, I'd have to take a nap for a week afterward.
and he does it all day.
jeez.
All day he's out there. Just I don't know where he summons it. It's got to be a spell or something, right?
They're like 300 Kato Kalins in stasis. They just get burnt out every day.
They shrivel up at the end of the weekend and they just unleash the next one the next weekend.
Nick Fury's Kato bots. A whole closet of them. All right, let's talk a little bit about some of the movie trailers that are out right now. I think we've probably all seen a lot of what's about to come out this summer. How about Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom?
Yay.
We've kind of talked about this on the show. A few of you might have heard us talk about it. Well said, Jack. We hyped? Are we excited for it or no?
I'm
Yeah.
like, not excited, but I'm still gonna go see it.
That's the thing
That's
that
it.
almost angers me about it, because
Right.
I know I'm going to see it. And a part of me wants to see it, but God, it's not going to be good.
What's kind of weird about it is when I saw the whole shtick was going to be the volcano on the island erupting, I thought, come on. But now there's volcanoes erupting all over the world. So it's kind of made
really?
itself relevant in Hawaii and in Brazil.
Oh, you mean in-
within the past 2 weeks, we've had two major
that's true.
eruptions. So,
Yeah.
Plan. That was their goal the whole time.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Look, it could happen for real.
But yeah, it just seems to be a little much for me.
I
Like,
swear it's becoming Pokemon, right? This is Ash going back to the island to rescue
They
people.
made a Jurassic
Kanto's going down. We got to catch them all.
It's actually Pokemon. They made a Jurassic World Go, so you can actually go around and fight.
I've actually tried it, and it's kind of frustrating because
It's frustrating.
you can try to catch dinosaurs that are out of your range, but you have to build up battery range in order to reach them. It's weird, so that's what makes you walk toward them, or you pay in-game money to refill your battery and get them from wherever you are. It's stupid. So,
How about,
what's that?
just how about no?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Pokemon Go, they have it. They've got the market.
Yeah.
Don't try to fix something that's not broken, right? But anyway, going back to Jurassic World really quick, one thing I wanted to touch on, a couple actually, the relationship that between Blue and Owen that these trailers are trying to shove down our throat doesn't match what we saw in the first film. Like
It's forced, dude.
so forced. At the end of that first film, he was lucky that Blue didn't like rip his innards out right there as the T-Rex watched. He just happened to go fight him off. And now this is like, well, you've raised him since he was a baby. You know, it shows him reuniting with him, like throwing him treats and shit like that. And I'm just not about that.
It doesn't
You know,
work. Like I liked that he was the guy who was willing to try and train the raptors, because that was a nightmarish job. And they really showed throughout the series, throughout the movie, that this was a hard thing to do. These aren't dogs, you know. They don't develop that level of loyalty. These are reptiles. They don't care, you know. So the fact that he made that much progress was like a big deal. Now they're rolling back all of that, you know. Now it's just like, oh, but they're super secret best friends forever, and they'll always, you know,
They're trying to make it to an adult.
adventure
exactly.
time dinosaurs.
They're making it exactly into what the first movie said it wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, so
if you look at raptors, they're kind of pack animals, and all his siblings got killed in the first one. And what is Owen is the
now
alpha?
Owen's alpha.
Yeah, so it could be like, well, I gotta go find my dad and help him.
I hope they explore the raptor's feelings there.
Yeah, it's all about the emotional depth you get.
And Owen took off the little camera harness on his face, so he might be kind of in love with them from there. I don't know. Helped him out.
One thing that's irking me that I've been seeing in the trailers, and I think it was in the most recent trailer, toward the end, they've made it apparent they're bringing in another kind of Indominus, like hybrid abomination dinosaur. And there's a scene where you see this thing kind of creep into through a bedroom window, and there's a little girl laying in bed with the covers hiked up, and she's all scared, and this thing's creeping up the bed toward her. And a lot of the trailers just stop there, but I've seen others where it then immediately cuts to Owen in the corner of the little girl's bedroom. He just says, "Blue!" And Blue like runs out of a side bathroom or something. So like, are we using the little girl's bait to catch this monster? Like, how was this set up? Like, we're gonna just chill in the little girl's bedroom with the raptor, hope he comes in here.
I think the real theme
It just
of
doesn't make sense to me at all.
this next installment is all about moral ambiguity, you know, and exploring if the ends really do justify the means.
Where's the girl's
Raptors.
parents at, letting them do all this?
I know, like,
We're gonna
sounds
let
good to
this
me. Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
show
Go
be
on.
like her anyway.
Pet raptor into your bathroom. But it's okay, because a bigger, meaner monster is going to come for you later, and they might save you.
They'll cancel each other out. Your daughter will be fine. Any last thoughts on Jurassic World before we move on? Anybody? No. All right. How about Bumblebee? Has anyone seen the trailer for Bumblebee, the next Transformers movie?
Now, right off the bat with Bumblebee, I think the design is far and away like a cut above everything we've seen in the Michael Bay Transformers.
Oh, without a doubt.
Where it's just angles and plates and wires and none of it makes any sense. At least in Bumblebee, what we're seeing is a sort of coherency of design. You've got the nice rounded plates. You know, there are pistons and this and that. It doesn't look overdone.
He's a Volkswagen Bug. Like
You can tell the
should
car
be.
type when he's transformed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a part in the trailer where the girl is underneath looking up in the interior and she sees the face just sitting dormant.
That gave me chills.
Me too.
That was awesome.
It was amazing. And I think they're going to play this movie a lot more kind of like Short Circuit or Chappie or something like that, rather than Michael Bay's just Katamari of car parts for an hour and a half.
That's a good way to put it.
You know, it's what it is.
Yeah.
But
there's the Bond element. You know, they want to play that up because, like in the old series, there was the little human boy whose name apparently Sam. Thank you. And you know, they were bugs. He was hanging out in these amazingly dangerous situations where alien robots shoot at each other, and you kind of miss out on that.
Kind of the Iron Giant feel to it.
yeah, for sure.
Starscream, though.
That's what I was just going to say. Starscream.
He looked
was
amazing too.
amazing.
I just hope they keep the downplay. I hope like Starscream is just like the main villain. I hope they don't rush everybody in at the last minute and make it too much to swallow, you know, but we'll see what happens. I've got high hopes for it. It's coming out this, November?
I'm not sure.
Something like that?
I know there's one part towards the end of the trailer. I think Bumblebee is transformed in robot form, and I don't know if he changes car shapes at some point because he looks a little not as rounded at the end. He's almost more like a
Upgraded.
construction
Like
vehicle,
one of the
more.
newer.
Maybe that's what it was, but
That's one thing I hated in the first Transformer movie, how the Camaro, he was a Camaro to begin with in that movie, right? How he just kind of wheelied on two wheels sideways and scanned another
that
car.
new one.
It's like, that's a bit much for me, but oh well. With Transformers, we have to roll with it at this point, right? We're talking cars,
It's
for
not going
Christ's sake.
anywhere. So.
How about Ant-Man and Wasp? Are we excited for this? Yes, there we go. A reaction. Nice.
The first Ant-Man I liked. It didn't blow me away. Probably not my favorite Marvel
Exact
movie.
same feelings.
I remember thinking to myself, though, like, this is a pretty good foundation. Like, they've set the table. Maybe the next in the series is really going to be able to bring it all together. And I think this might be the one.
I just saw the latest trailer, and I don't know how long it's been out, but a few things in it. One, Lawrence Fishburne, who was, Cowboy Curtis, and old Pee Wee Playhouse. Who was he in Matrix? Morpheus? Is that right?
Yeah.
He's not going to be playing the part, but he's playing a retired Goliath, like he was Goliath in the Marvel Universe, which I just got chills over. And he and Scott Lang were having kind of a pissing contest with how tall they had grown. But one thing that I noticed in the last trailer that they're really pushing hard now is the quantum realm, which obviously is going to be the solution to the next Avengers. Have we all seen the next Avengers movie? What'd we all think? What'd we think? Amazing, right?
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much decided on that one.
1,000 theories on it, but you know.
Oh, man.
Like almost like every day, he's like, I have a theory. Every day.
Well, it lends to that. I mean, there are so many different things that can happen, and it's, along with all the different leaks we've seen on YouTube about people we've seen on set, it's exciting, and I can't hardly freaking wait. I just want it to be now, I can't believe we have to go through a whole nother Christmas before then, that sucks.
That's how they punish us for our loyalty. This is the price.
Who's sick of Christmas, right? No.
Get rid of it.
If we don't have Christmas, it'll come faster.
Solid logic.
There it is. One thing I wish, and maybe they will eventually do in the Ant-Man movies, was in the comics when Hank Pym was Ant-Man. He had created, you might remember this, I don't know if it was even called this, the Pym prison.
Yes.
Which was like a maximum security prison where your biggest bad guys got locked away.
They put them in the microverse.
But
That's
then
where
it
they
shrinks,
store
and
more,
it's like a maximum security prison that sits on a shelf in a lab. It's incredible, and it houses Ultron, and who else was in there?
Everybody, the Serpent Society, I think it was in there.
It's just such a cool concept, and we, have seen in the new trailer that there's a building that gets big and shrinks in the middle of the road at one point. So maybe they're going to introduce that at the end or something.
It's a cool enough concept with enough utility in future Marvel movies. I think they'll probably.
Is that going to be their version of the negative zone instead of adding what Fantastic Four could bring in?
Ooh, I don't know. I hope not. I mean, the negative zone seems like a bad place to be. And you're talking the negative zone in the DC universe? Or are you talking?
Is that what it's called in the Marvel universe?
There's
a prison there.
You probably know better than I do. I'm on a comics podcast. I'm not a comics expert, so big difference.
The Phantom Zone.
Phantom Zone. Thank you. That's what I'm thinking of.
Negative.
See, you've already trumped me. Maybe you should be up here.
You guys seen Michelle Pfeiffer? Pictures of her. She's gonna play Janet, the first Wasp.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she looks really good. No, she hasn't been in the trailer yet. It's been like posters. Yeah.
She's the one who was lost in the quantum
quantum realm,
in the first one, right? Or
Yeah.
That he described. That'll be cool. I think I knew that, but forgot about that.
She looks good for being Catwoman a long time ago.
She looks good indeed, Jack. What else? We have the Venom trailer. Now this has
is
got
the trailer of trailers for me.
me stoked.
And you know, I remember when the teaser came out, you were not stoked.
No, well, I
You had
wasn't.
reservations.
It didn't
Which
give
I
us
get.
anything at first.
The only sight of symbiote you saw was it starting to creep up his neck when he was flipping out right at the end of the trailer, which is okay, but that could be interpreted as like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, or kind of like a werewolf kind of movie where it takes him and he becomes something he's not. Just that second trailer to come along and show that he's talking to that other personality inside his head, and that when those guys storm the room, he has a extension come out of his chest, out of his back, and it's like, why would we do that? It was incredible. It won me over 100%. And go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, my boy Lance Reddick as the voice of the symbiote. Anyone familiar? Commander Zavala from Destiny, if you've played it. No? He's a badass, suffice to say.
Even if you don't know who he is, if you've seen the trailer and heard that voice,
You'd be like,
that Eddie, it's so good. Oh, I got chills all through me when I saw that. But I couldn't help but, what are you laughing at? Okay, I thought I did something stupid. I see.
Get out.
I get chills. No, one thing I was too, but I wasn't going to address that. I'm glad you did.
I'm here for it.
One thing I wanted to address, one scene in the trailer is when the hood comes up over and closes, and he then says his name. You can already see Hot Topic merch, right? I mean, you're going to zip up to your nose, pull it over your head. I hate that's the first place my mind goes to.
Well, you spend enough time taking in all of these new forms of entertainment, you start to see the gears turning in the background. You're like, all right, this is going to feed itself into such and such deal, and then McDonald's is going to have Venom Nuggets for a month. It's all the same.
I would so buy Venom Nuggets. I would buy them.
Like black teriyaki sauce.
Speaking of which, Rick and Morty fans in the house, they are selling Szechuan sauce in there.
Is it still down there?
Yeah.
You thought that would have gone quick.
Yeah.
Half a box.
You can get them at McDonald's right now.
Not anymore.
Oh, really?
They're done at McDonald's now.
Seriously?
It's okay.
I just wonder how long they keep, because I just wonder if there's ever a time where I'm sick of trying to hold on to this little sauce packet. Maybe I should just try it.
Got all these nuggets in the fridge.
But I feel like it'll be 2028 by the time I have that thought, and it'll be far too late
You'll
to
be
try
in your
it.
hover car.
Driving my way to the hospital because of food poisoning. All right. Anything else on Venom, guys?
When his hood comes on, it's
I
nice
heard
to
a rumor that Tom Holland is going to make a cameo.
Yes.
We've been hearing that, and then counterpoints, and
I've heard he's going to be cameoing as Peter Parker, but not as Spider-Man.
which would be great
Would
because
that
then
mean Venom could possibly appear in the MCU?
See, that's where my mind keeps going. And a perfect scenario would be, okay, we show Tom Holland's Peter Parker in the Venom movie as a way to introduce that character, and then for the sequel to Homecoming, have Venom come over there and be the main villain. It would cause some trouble for the third Spider-Man, because how you would top that is beyond me. It would be incredible.
Sinister Six.
Ooh, you've thought about this.
The character for Scorpion is in the previous duo Spider-Man, but I heard that Sony, with the pairing they have right now, they're still planning a Sinister Six kind of.
That would be incredible, yeah, because the way they left the Andrew Garfield movies, I mean, they were building up hard and fast to that, and I was stoked. I mean, just to see you saw Doc Ock's tentacles just kind of moving on their own. And,
Vulture's wings were
Yeah.
the same.
Mysterio's helmet.
Yeah, Mysterio.
Oh.
Mysterio or Kraven is the next villain.
Nice.
Mysterio, please, Mysterio.
The fishbowl.
Well,
So good.
the possibilities, though, with him. I mean, with Kraven, okay, you have a guy who is a trained hunter. His power is his incredible physique. That's about it.
It's gonna be
Mysterio.
another Killmonger. It's just going to be a
Yeah.
dude who's really good at fighting and tracking people.
Imagine what you could do with Mysterio, though. I mean, the worlds you could just create out of nothing around Spider-Man to throw him off, or
You'd be able to do CG crazily.
Wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal cast as Mysterio?
I'm sorry?
Wasn't Jake Gyllenhaal cast?
Yeah.
I don't know, was it?
That's what I read. I didn't think it was an
You stole my heart. Oh my God, that is amazing. I like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I do.
Yeah, I think he'd be perfect.
Bubble
Yeah.
Boy was awesome. Bubble Boy.
Bubble Boy. What the hell's Bubble Boy?
Jake Gyllenhaal movie.
I've never even heard of it.
Oh, don't.
It's like, I think it was his first movie or something.
Never heard of it.
That's good.
I think of Brokeback Mountain when I think of Jake Gyllenhaal. Right? I mean,
Everybody's go-to.
everybody kind of goes there. All right. Well, with trailer talk behind us, we're going to move into doing what we do sometimes on the show when we don't have anything that's currently trending. We look back into pop culture history for a topic. And it was this month in 1989 that the first Batman with Michael Keaton was released, changing the face of Batman
That was a big deal.
forever.
Yeah.
Does anyone here remember that release? Anybody? Yeah. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, so I've been told. I was around for it.
As I say, was anyone alive for it?
I was there for it, but I was young enough where my mother was keeping it from me because how dark it looked. And the only Batman I knew at the time was 66. It was in heavy syndication after school cartoons. It was a part of that lineup. So that's the Batman I knew. So for this to come along was new for me. What about you guys?
I feel like it's kind of, I always forget the name of the artist. There was a particular issue of the Batman comic that came out around that time. It may have been a little bit before, and the movie was kind of building off of that. And they credit that movie and that comic with reinventing Batman, where you get this shift from Batman to Dark Knight. That's where you start to see that phrase really coming into vogue, and they want to hammer home these psychological, criminological elements that we think of when we associate with Batman, because it was just campy fun before. There's no getting around it. Like, there was a soft backstory that, like, oh, Bruce Wayne, his parents were murdered by criminals, now he kicks their asses. But, like, they never delved into the tortured mind of Batman,
Yeah, for sure. Jack, what about you?
I don't like the way his car's always so long and he can't turn around the corners. He's got to use
He's
grapple
got the
hooks.
grappling hook.
How many times do they reload though? That's the only thing. Good for one.
That's a
turn,
one-shot thing.
and then you're done. You better
I'd say
hope
that
you're
your
in a straightaway.
chassis, your car frame's probably destroyed after that.
Oh, yeah, right.
use
It's
too.
going that fast with a jet engine.
Like the door won't shut anymore, Bruce. The door just won't shut.
Makes that horrible noise.
No, go ahead.
I've got a weird story about Batman. Just talking about old, syndicated Batman before he got dark. My first introduction to Batman when I was younger was the Batman animated series, which I think is still one of the greatest animated anythings of all time.
It furthered the evolution that the Michael Keaton movies started.
Yeah, and it hammered it home in a way that was accessible. It wasn't like a one-off dark thing anymore. It's like, oh, this is the tone.
Right.
And you got your Mark Hamill Joker, which we could have an entire podcast about. You guys know how phenomenally perfect he is. And the intro sequence was this dark, the storm clouds and the criminals running, and this sweeping orchestral score. And I get so excited.
Yeah.
And when I was just a little kid and I first started watching this, my parents would come in and they'd be like, oh, Batman. No, Batman. And every time I'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? I didn't get it for years. And I never asked them, hey, can you explain that to me? I would just get mad. And I'd be like, I don't want them in here when I'm watching it. And it only, I only realized afterward that, that's the Batman they grew up with. You know, there was this generational thing going on.
It's like they were teasing you about watching Batman.
It's funny because, growing up, my only reference, like I already said, was the 66 Batman. And when me and my friends, my sister and the neighbor kids, we would play Batman, it would involve us getting on our bikes, designating a part of the yard the Batcave. And what we would do is not pick who's going to be the villain, who's going to be the good guy. We wouldn't stage fights. We would simply ride circles going in and out of the Batcave, going, na-na-na-na-na-na-na. That's all we knew of Batman and his song. But
to be young again.
Right. The hours wasted. But Danny Elfman's theme, was so good. It was definitive. Every piston was firing with that movie. And I think it was the same theme song that bled into the animated series, correct?
Close enough, yeah.
I think it was.
And I recently rewatched Batman Forever, Not necessarily of my own accord. It was just on.
I was being held
It
hostage.
sucks you in. You can't stop watching it. Most
Right,
Of the time.
you're like, okay, let's see.
Val Kilmer's not my Batman.
Maybe it got
not
better.
A good movie, but what it does have going for it is that like drippingly gothic aesthetic with the big colossal statues holding up the observatory and all these nice touches that were more prominent in the comics. That I think that was the last movie that really hammered home this thing is like Gotham not just as a city in the USA plagued with crime, but almost this realm unto itself. So I thought the aesthetic was strong. The movie was.
That's one thing I couldn't stand about those movies is because I like the gothic artwork, but the size was just too much sometimes.
Insane. And
I mean, there's a statue holding a telescope.
observatory. Yeah. Whole
Like
observatory.
1,000 feet into the air
The
for no
science,
reason.
the architecture at work there goes well beyond anything we're capable of.
It's funny you bring that up. I've been watching Bruce Timm's The Superman animated series recently, cutting through that run because I've seen the Batman one so many times. But the similarity between the two is both Gotham and Metropolis look like an old World's Fair kind of imaging of a city. And I remember one scene in particular, Lois Lane's car gets taken under control, remote controlled, and driven off an overpass. And I think, okay, well, she'll fall maybe, 50 yards or so. No, this overpass is taller than the skyscrapers. I mean, she goes flying. And I think this is not a good design for a road. Very
It's
big
not very
design flaw.
practical.
Even if you are in the future, the car isn't
Still be able to
flying.
recognize
My
it.
car won't go up a hill that steep.
But I did like that they all had that kind of unified, like 50s pulp aesthetic. There was something very cool about that, even if it doesn't make any sense at all.
Right. Agreed. You touched on the animated series, and I guess I did too. And again, definitive. That's my Batman.
That's Batman.
Nothing will ever beat that. Was it Tim Conroy?
Kevin Conroy.
Conroy. I'm thinking of Tim Conway. Big difference. Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill, though, definitive Batman.
That's Batman.
And Joker. When the Arkham games have come out and they're like, oh, well, we're not using Mark Hamill for this one. I was like, well, you'll see me
The
next
loss,
game.
yeah.
Then. I'm just kind of out. But there are a few things that drive me crazy about those old animated series. One, in every episode of Batman, every episode, when he shows up to talk to Commissioner Gordon, Commissioner gives him the lowdown and he just disappears. And Jim Gordon always comes back. I don't know how he does that. Or one of these days, I'm going to nail him to the floor. There's always just some quip like that I'm just like, "Argh." And also, every villain is almost like, there's a bat in my belfry. I think I have a bat in my belfry. Every villain does it.
Driving me batty.
So that is something that irritated me. But one thing I thought would be fun to do here with you all today, it's easy to talk about what we like about Batman, but not quite as easy. And it's more interesting to hear what we dislike about the character that everybody loves, right?
That you're not allowed to discuss. It's one of those things where Batman is like sacred.
Right.
You can't suggest that the character is not, perfect.
Right. So I want you guys to be included in this conversation. If you have anything to add, please just yell it out. But let's start up here. Guys, what do you have?
The utility belt.
You dislike the utility belt?
I'd like it, but to know what he's going to need at that time, it just like he happens to
convenient.
have the right tool for the job.
They
every
really
time.
give him carte blanche to pull whatever he wants out of it.
Yeah.
Shark repellent comes to mind.
Just like he happened to have the shark spray in the movie when he was flying in a helicopter. He was over the ocean.
Thank God he had it.
He would have had a leg.
Disaster.
I have wanted a Batman utility belt so bad for so long, I've actually dreamt about it.
I think they were selling one out on the floor. I saw.
Not the one I want. Not the one I want. I don't want a replica. I want the freaking utility belt. I love the one that Christian Bale had in the Dark Knight movies. They just kind of clicked open from the top like little metal pouches. It was so cool and so accessible. But I know what you mean. There's always just
Always
the
got
right
something
tool.
just to be able to get out. Yeah. It's not like he was sitting in the bat cave. All right, I might need this one. I might need that one. Well, I don't need that one today.
Something that always comes to mind, I think in the animated series, it's got that very bright yellow utility belt, if I'm not mistaken, and it's got 3 little cylindrical somethings on
Little
the side.
capsules
Yeah.
around.
Yeah, and it stuck with me. He'd press down on the top like a little change dispenser, and those were like his smoke bombs or, fog. I don't know.
You rarely get that
Staring
much
gas.
explanation in a cartoon.
Yeah, and it was nice to see that, because then every time you see it after, you're like, that's where he keeps it.
And it's funny, too, because when they did 3 seasons of the animated series, and it disappeared for a year or two, and then it came back with the 4th season, I believe, for the Batman what was that? Batman Superman show?
There was
They
that- when did-
joined them together, and it was just kind of like a Russian roulette. You didn't know what you were going to get after
When did
school.
Masters
But
of Phantasm happen?
that was during the first 3
Okay.
seasons, like during that height of popularity. But when they came back, they changed the animation up a little bit, and I thought Batman looked so much cooler. It got rid of the yellow crest, and it was just the bat. The utility belt, the bright yellow one, was gone, and it almost looked like a handyman tool belt. You know, it was like something you get at Lowe's or something. Which,
Got a little hammer,
yeah, I thought I could get
measure.
that. I could be Batman. I could get that.
just whipping hammers at people.
You can't argue with results, Jake.
Bat hammer. It's just a hammer. All right, here's mine. If I've got a problem with Batman, and this is probably not an original stance, I think my issue is that he's always the least interesting person in his stories.
Really?
I love Batman. He's great, but I think some of these villains, how they come to be, what they do, what they are, even though it can be pretty silly sometimes, I think they often eclipse what I like about Batman. The dynamic between him and the villain is obviously more important than any singular character, but that's the problem, is he can carry a story on his own, but we've seen so much that rehashes this, like, oh, his parents died, and he's very sad, etc. You know, you need the villain to take him in a new direction. On his own, he gets a little stagnant.
Right.
You know, the villain is the impetus, so you have to have a villain that's vibrant and dangerous and interesting, and I think it seems like a lot of work gets put into that when they're kind of willing to let the Batman character sort of stagnate.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that for sure. I guess my biggest problem with the character, and I've said this on the show before,
Well documented.
but you know, he's got this moral code where he will put himself before anybody. I mean, even if it's a homeless guy with a gun to his head, he's going to sacrifice himself to save that life. But he does not hesitate to rush a plethora of young boys into battle. You know, like he throws a silly costume on a teenage boy and throws him in the way of gunfire.
Tiny pants, nonetheless.
Yeah, especially in the world we live in today with pedophiles, you know, and they're kind of tempting them now to.
I'd be surprised he just turns around. Robin.
All I have are these briefs for you to wear.
But it's never made sense to me. It's like it just goes totally against everything he's about. And you rarely see any kind of lapse in his moral code or his just code for being Batman. What makes it work, you know? Another of which being, have you guys seen the Killing Joke movie? Okay, have you read the book as well? Have you compared the two? Because the movie, they added a whole opening sequence, Scott, you've seen it, with Batgirl that was just cringeworthy. It was cringeworthy. And it showed, that book was so good, so definitive. You know, when you're being introduced to Batman, you got to see The Killing Joke. You got to read The Killing Joke. But they did something in the movie that was so against the character, where he and Batgirl surrender to temptation on a rooftop. He just pulls his cowl off and everything, and they just make sweet, sweet love under the moonlight.
Bat love.
Bat love. But our Dark Knight wouldn't do this, I don't feel, right? I mean, this seems really out of
How are
character.
you going to look Commissioner Gordon in the eyes next time?
You know what I did to your daughter?
I guess I didn't.
Got laid last night, Jim. You'll never guess who. It's funny, you know, you bring that up. I don't remember which Arkham game it was. Maybe it was just Arkham Knight, where it kind of explores Batman walking that line between, you know, half the time he's talking with Commissioner Gordon, the other time he's talking with Oracle, not letting those worlds cross over. But at one point during the game, spoiler alert, she gets killed, and he has to come forward and tell him everything. You know, I don't know. It just seemed another flaw. It's another flaw like against that moral code that's so important
The
to
only
making
time they're willing
Batman.
to sidestep or infringe upon that is to shoehorn in these other characters.
Right.
It just seems weird.
Yeah. Well, what about you guys? Any dislikes at all about Batman?
I hate everything about Ben Affleck is bad.
Really? Everything?
Yeah,
I see you have someone behind you agreeing with you. What about you guys, Batfleck? I've got mixed feelings. I honestly do. The Batman and the dragon tattoo, now that's a little disturbing. I don't know if you guys have seen Ben Affleck on the beach with his new Phoenix dragon tattoo on his back. Look it up. It is horrendous. I don't know why anybody would do this. But
It's like trucker quality.
It's to signify his coming back from Geely.
I'm not
That's what it
convinced
is.
He really came back.
Did he, though?
Like that grow a new Ben Affleck.
Did he really? But no, I think the thing it does right is his voice, the explanation for his voice. You know,
That I
Christian Bale got
appreciated.
so much shit for blah, 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 blah. But at the same time, you kind of understand. You just can't go around using Bruce Wayne's voice. He's a icon of the city. Of course,
Worked for Adam
recognizes
West,
him.
dude.
Wow, that's a whole different world, right? But I forget where I was going with that. What was it?
voice.
The voice.
I thought that was such a fantastic touch.
One thing that Batman is doing is bringing the evolution of the character full circle. Back to the Batman that first debuted that would tote a gun, because as we saw in Batman versus Superman, he does not hesitate to take a life. Like
When he pins that guy to a wall with a hunting knife, I was like, oh, it just happens. So
yeah, and well, toward the end there, when he is in the bat or the bat wing or whatever they call it in this movie.
He's got that Gatling gun array in the new.
Yeah, and he's going to save Diane Keaton, Martha Kent's character. There's like trucks with guys in turrets in the back, and he just blows the living fuck out of them and doesn't look back. Like they are dead.
Yeah.
They're dead. They're not coming back from
The
this.
bullets killed him. I didn't do it.
Boy, that's some dissonance.
And you know, it's funny because it could have so easily been explained, maybe not in the case of the trucks, but you know, when they introduced Batfleck, it was supposed to be somewhat of Frank Miller's Batman. You know,
Right.
that's what they were bringing to the screen.
Very few compunctions, a little more of a hardliner.
So I enjoyed it in that aspect, but you know, at the same time, he's not that old man, retired Batman. He's still
You could justify it
in his
that way.
prime. Yeah, he's in the comic and in the movies. He's old. He's tired.
done
He's
with it.
sick of this shit. I'm just going to cripple him. They won't do it again if I cripple him, right? But I don't know. It's weird to see that character come full circle again, wearing a gun, not afraid to kill someone. What do you guys think about that? I mean.
Yeah, I didn't like that.
Yeah, me neither. I like the Batman that has evolved to now. Let's keep him. I mean, I'm open to further evolution, but not in that direction. Because again, it's going
weird.
against that
It's
moral
one of the core
code.
tenets of what he is. And you know,
That's so important.
It's like Flashpoint Batman. I mean,
Yes, Flashpoint Batman was awesome, though. You got to give it that.
right, yeah.
You got to give it that. It was Thomas Wayne,
Thomas Wayne,
right?
yep.
The dad, yeah.
Oh, we've talked on the show before.
Yeah.
I mean, his bat insignia was not the yellow oval, but a perfect red circle, and just the implications of that alone was awesome. It's like when you see Dark Superman with the different crest on his shelf, on his chest. Yeah, don't fuck.
yeah,
don't fuck.
It's like, oh man, I love this panel so much that I had to print it out and tear it off the page. It's like in the Injustice comics that accompany the game. I don't know if any of you guys have read those. Really solid. I didn't play the game really, but the comics were super interesting. And at one point, Superman kills Green Arrow. And he does this because Superman's on kind of a power trip, and he's like sort of acting out that nightmare scenario.
Right,
in
right.
Batman vs Superman. Green Arrow, being the type of guy he is, says like, okay, I need to distract him, such and such. Someone's going to hit him with something that will immobilize him for such a time. So the only way he can think to do this is by harming his family. So he finds, the Kents, the father, and he fires an arrow into his shoulder, knowing full well it's not going to kill him. And Superman sees this and swings around, and the panel in the comic is his face in shadow, and his eyes, getting ready to laser out, just piercing, and this like trail of burning light from where he was looking to where he is now. Zero
Oh, wow.
riding on green. Every time I think about it, I'm like,
That is
it's
amazing.
incredible. And I like that element because I feel like Superman, it's not sacrilegious to go in that direction.
No.
That one day he's going to snap and be like, you know what? Let's just clean out the planet, But Batman, you gotta.
Yeah, man, that is cool.
It's so cool.
You got my
I'll
mind
have to
running. I like that.
Remind me so I can bring it.
Yeah, I want to see that for sure. All right. Any other contributions to the Batman conversation? Anybody have anything else to add? There, and I want to thank you all so much for coming out to our con today. This has been a very intimate, wonderful experience.
A little 1-on-1, 3-on-5. That sounds weird.
But no, thank you so much for coming out. We hope you enjoyed yourselves and hope you enjoyed the con. And again, stick around. We'll get some pictures with you guys. All right? Thank you so much.